All right. So, hello everybody. We're here with Krista Morton today, and my name is Patrick Toby. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist in Nevada, in Las Vegas, and I also teach a lot of parts and memory of the modality parts and memory for therapists and coaches, trying to get the modality out there because I'm a big believer that it's a game changer, life changer. It really helps people heal. And just to kind of give everyone a little bit of a brief overview of parts and memory. We work with internal ego states, which is kind of like inner personalities. But the idea is that like we might have an angry part, a sad part, and we find those parts and we do a little bit of dialogue. But mostly we're trying to use that internal ego states to get to memories that might be fueling some of these strong emotions or these emotional blocks or these behaviors that we find ourselves doing. And if we can get to the memories, then we can do some visualization type stuff to heal those memories. And what's different about parts of memory is that once we heal those memories, it's permanent. And we can really fly through a lot of different issues that might come up. And then the issues are simply gone. We're no longer coping with them or managing them or struggling with them. They're just healed. And so that's a really big change from traditional talk therapy and to more scientific based direction that we're going to go that can really get really good results really fast. And again, like I said, I have Krista Morton here today, and I know that's one of her primary modalities that she's using. So I would like to get to know her and what she's doing with it and how things are going. So how are things going, Krista?
Things are going great. Things have really transformed since my parts and memory training and my coaching practice. So things are going really well.
Awesome. What kind of where do you have like a specialty or a focus that you do, or you kind of take whoever's coming to you and with whatever issues are coming up?
So I do a lot of different. I don't want to particularly niche myself, but I do find myself connecting with clients who have similar struggles coming in. So a lot of clients who come to me are working through emotional eating or disordered eating. They're working through codependency, childhood trauma, gut health, autoimmunity, or an unhelpful relationship with exercise or their bodies, body image issues, things like that.
Those are pretty tough issues. A lot of times, they got a lot of different parts and pieces that go to it. How was it? How did you kind of work with those issues prior to working with parts of memory or using parts of memory?
Yeah. Prior to that, it was really challenging. I felt a lot of responsibility as the practitioner to facilitate behavior change and mindset work that was very difficult in some moments. And I was missing the tool I needed to transition from simply health coaching and just doing nutrition and supplementation protocols to really diving deep into that emotional and mindset work through the modality of parts of memory. So once I was empowered with that training, it really transformed the way that I was able to facilitate change and healing within my clients' lives.
That's awesome. Do you have you got some success stories, whether you can share or not, or just in general? Has it been pretty successful for you?
Yeah, absolutely. There are a couple that I can think of in particular. And it's amazing that there are some that are definitely rooted back to major traumas, and then there are some situations where clients aren't even they're not even like aware of this thing that happened in the past, and all of a sudden it'll come up in a session. So I can think of one where this client had experienced pretty significant loss, and there was a lot of emotion. It was a difficult relationship prior to the loss, and so there was a lot wrapped up in that. And asking her about her experience, she said that she doesn't think that she would have ever had the opportunity to heal the way that she healed, or gotten to understand herself the way that she understands herself on the other side of doing parts of memory surrounding this traumatic event. And another example that's a little bit more, I think, unexpected to facilitate change is taking a client through a trigger and winding up back on an elementary school bus and realizing that somebody said something to her she wasn't even really aware of that affected her entire life after that. So it really can be these big major things and some of the things that we don't even remember.
Those little things are, especially the early little things, are so interesting when they come up, because they have that effect of changing the entire life pattern sometimes, where, mom looks at a child, sideways and calls them clumsy, just
Yep.
meaning, kind of being silly, but at the same time that child takes it serious, then they take this label of clumsy, and that can really turn into a problem at, later on. But that's how a lot of this stuff works, and that's
Yeah. Turns into
how,
their identity.
absolutely, we got to wrap our identity around it, and then it's who we are.
Yeah.
Does your clients respond pretty well to parts of memory, or how are they doing with the modality and going to those places sometimes?
Yeah, they do. They do pretty well. Some are ready to dive right in, and then some move a little bit slower. And we actually kind of just work with sitting with the parts that are a little bit unwilling or don't want to remember things. So everybody's got their own pace, but the modality, no matter what, no matter where the client is at, always facilitates change at the pace that they're ready to go.
And that is important, is kind of slowing our roll sometimes, and matching the client where they are, so that so it's not overwhelming, because these memories are tough sometimes. But that's really great that the clients are responding and you're able to kind of match them at their pace. That's really good. Um, has it helped your business? Have you noticed any differences between before and after?
Absolutely. I think number one is when testimonials are shared, or these clients are just sharing their experience in general, it's sparking the interest of more people, because more people want that kind of change. They want that healing. And not only that, but it's interconnected the community that I already had established by doing some group work with it, and expanding that into, really creating safety and vulnerability within the group surrounding sharing experiences that everybody's had with parts and memories. So it's not only gelled the community that was already there to the next level, but also brought new individuals in who desire that same healing.
That are hearing about it, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great that you're doing some group work with it. That's kind of a unique a niche there. So that's
Yeah.
really good. That's going pretty well for you.
It is, I think it takes a special crew to do something like that. But I have a really wonderful community in the group coaching program. And, I think that it's got to be the right fit. But if it's the right fit and everybody's open and willing to be vulnerable, that's even a next level of healing for them, is being able to share and be open and experience community within the healing.
And trust. Yeah,
Yeah, 100%.
that's a big one. That's really good. That sounds like a really great group you got going. And that's hard to do. That's not an easy thing. How do you use parts of memory on yourself, or have you had some success with yourself?
Yes, my first experience was, somebody doing that for me, Autumn Farr doing that for me.
Ah,
And that was super powerful. And I was immediately hooked. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to learn more about this. But I really got in deep surrounding a big life transition that I went through. I recently moved from New Jersey to South Carolina, and tapping into the reason why that was so difficult for me led me down a train of like eye-opening codependence. Like I was like, whoa, this is a really big issue for me. And actually, this is exactly what I need to do to heal from it. So it really opened a big door for me. And that was in a one-on-one coaching session for myself. Eye-opening, really eye-opening, deepest I've ever really gone into healing. And I feel like my life has dramatically changed. I even got like little butterflies just talking about that, because it really did dramatically change after that session, that breakthrough session. And using it on myself, it's so funny. It works great for insomnia. Um,
yeah, absolutely.
yeah, I use it all the time if I'm having trouble falling asleep, or having, an overwhelming or anxious or stressful day. I use it all the time in those moments. And then, when insomnia hits once in a while, I'll use it, and I'm back asleep in 10 minutes.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's
Yeah.
great. Do you, just out of curiosity, are you finding the sleepy part, or are you finding the parts that are blocking the sleep?
Finding the parts that are blocking the sleep.
Yeah, either one works. I was just curious on which one you're using. That's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Um, so for anything that you want to kind of share with your potential clients or any other professionals out there that are doing similar things to what you're doing? Any words of advice or wisdom?
Yeah, I think just empowering yourself with the education in this modality is great. There's a lot of different emotional healing modalities walking around, and I think that this particular one for me feels like I have the key to the car and I'm putting it in the client's hand, and I'm simply the navigation system. I'm not doing the heavy lifting of driving the car. And I think that with a lot of other modalities, and it can feel like negotiation with the client, and that doesn't feel very empowering for the practitioner or the client sometimes. If you really have to have a special client in order to have major success with that. And with this, I find that it's very smooth, it's very easy to go deep, and it's very possible to achieve behavior shift very quickly. So if somebody's listening to this and you're a practitioner and you enjoy doing emotional health and behavior change, find yourself in a modality that fits that, which I found to be this. This is what empowers me to do what I'm passionate about at a higher level.
Nice. And just kind of out of curiosity too, is how was the training for you? Was it really difficult to kind of get to where you are and learn it and get comfortable with it, or was it pretty smooth? Kind of how was the learning process or learning curve?
Yeah, I think it was pretty smooth for me. I felt pretty aligned with it. I think that I had a little bit of an advantage doing a lot of somatics work prior to getting into this in my coaching. A lot of my emotional health coaching and practice was I do somatic in-person workshops, which is mostly focused on movement for mental health. I call the workshop Movement for Your Mind. So tapping into, where emotions sit in the body and kind of talking that language was familiar to me prior to the practice. But the training, we have so much experience in watching other people receive the work and facilitating the work ourselves I was using it the following week after the training in sessions. It was not a difficult transition. It was definitely smooth.
Great. That I like hearing that, of course, because that's what I'm teaching.
Yeah.
But it is important because it's important for other people to know it's not taking years to master. It is something you can kind of jump in and start practicing and get going with it and really make some changes almost right out of the gate.
Absolutely.
So I'm glad to hear that's a common experience too.
Mm.
Anything else you would like to share, or anything else you got on your mind that we can help others maybe with?
Yeah, I think just acknowledging that sometimes it's the big things, and then sometimes it's the little things like we were talking about before, that this modality can be so helpful for any of that, right? Like it could be so helpful for the big trauma of something as big of as a loss, or a broken relationship, or a move, or a job loss. And then it can be so helpful for something like insomnia, or stress, or a decision. And so all of those things, I think, it's all about finding empathy for that part of yourself that blocks you and creates inconsistency. And that's what I love about this most, is it's a direct pathway for the client to experience empathy and experience forgiveness and release guilt and shame for themselves. Because mostly in my practice, we start with the inconsistencies in their lives. And a lot of times it's like, I just can't keep going to the gym consistently, or I find myself, I don't know why I can't stick to my nutrition, or whatever the case may be. And it's an inconsistency that they're blaming themselves for. And that person memory session will lead them right back to the root, and they can find a deep sense of empathy and forgiveness and freedom. So a lot of these things that we feel and take responsibility for in our lives are really tied back to something much deeper. So if you haven't experienced that and you're listening to this, definitely find that work for yourself. And, if you are a practitioner, I'd say look into this, because it's very empowering for your clients to find a deeper sense of self-love for themselves, and freedom and empowerment for whatever it is they're working through.
I love it. Great. Well said. Very well said. So I want to thank you for coming on and sharing your story and your practice. And I wish you all the best, and I hope you go on to heal so many other people.
Oh, thanks, Patrick. Appreciate it.
Thank you.